So hello, hello everyone. Hi, welcome again to Our Ladies Remote. Our Ladies Remote Takeover of YR webinar series. So this is the second session of the webinar, and we are glad to have Tuli Amutenya from Namibia with us tonight. So before going on to Tuli, I would like to call upon Heather first. Heather, can you just give a bit information about Our Ladies Remote Takeover? Over to you, Heather.
Thank you. Yes, Our Ladies Remote is the virtual chapter of the Our Ladies organisation, which is a global community that supports our users of minority gender. And also, so I helped as Our Ladies Remote organiser to organise these talks today, along with Janani Ravi, who's just joined us. Janani, do you want to say hello?
Hello. Afika and Tuli and Beva will be our speakers for today. I'm really excited to be co-hosting the series with Heather and Kevin from the YR Foundation. Looking forward to these wonderful talks.
Right, thank you so much, Janani and Heather. It's nice to finally meet you too. All right, so we have just going to go through a little bit on detail introduction on our speaker today. She's Tuli Megameno Amutenya, or more known to be called as Tuli, from Namibia, and was for the Namibia Statistics Agency (NSA) as a data processing manager. So Tuli leads the statistical data management activities, including applications development, processing, and data storage of all national surveys such as census and administrative data. So prior to this role, she led the application development team as a senior application analyst at NSA. Tuli obtained a Master of Science degree in data science from University of Salford in the UK, with support from the Chevening Scholarship Program in 2019. So she's currently quite new to R, but she's at her early career with R, but excited for the future and growth of our community in Namibia. So Tuli will be presenting on the natural language processing for survey tax data tonight. So without further ado, I would like to call upon our presenter today, Tuli. Over to you, Tuli. The floor is yours.
Hi, thank you, Afika. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Good morning, good afternoon to our viewers everywhere. We're so excited to be with you today and take you through how we use R. My topic today, as Afik explained, it's I'm going to demonstrate a little basic pipeline on how I use R when we are analyzing the survey data, particularly the text field in the survey data. Let me just share my slide. Okay. So since I'll be doing a demo presentation first time, I might be I will start with the slide, and I will switch over to our Markdown. Okay, thank you. So can you confirm if you could see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so my journey with R has started about a few years ago, and I use mostly Tidyverse and ggplot for visualization. And recently, we've been using Tidyverse as well and Tidytext for text analysis, particularly to this example I'm going to show you today. In our statistic production in the surveys, we always have a, especially for questions that have categories, we always have a question that allows respondents to give another option or to give a particular answer that might not be catered in the questionnaire. And this is mostly categorical with predefined answers. So when the respondent is not able to answer that, they are able to fill into a text field. And now this is the text field that we're going to, or that I'm going to show you on how we clean it. The idea is to identify if the text indicated here at the text field is, if it's relevant to already predefined categories, or if it's not, then the subject matter on that subject, for instance, this is a labor force particular question. So the labor force statistician will review the topics and then they identify a new category based on the information. So that's what we are going to see today. So as I mentioned earlier, the packages that we'll use, capital letters there, excuse me, it's tidyverse, tidytext, and ggplot mostly that I used in this particular exercise. Okay, I'm going to switch over to my R Markdown so that since it's a live demo, and I'll just take you through the process. Okay, I'm gonna share my. Okay. Okay, Rafik, can you please confirm if you see a screen, our Markdown moving?
Yes, I can confirm that we can see your R Markdown here.
Okay, with one tab?
With one tab, yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so I have a few tabs. I have a few, maybe just to begin, I used the R presentation template that you can find on the website in this link as well, if you are interested. So there are some packages here that are not necessarily relevant, but we're just going to go ahead and run that. Okay, so let's take out the screen. Okay, so I'm just gonna read in my data set that we are using for this particular exercise. This data set has five variables that we are going to look at, and it consists of 226 rows. So it's quite a small file because it's just one field that we are looking at today, and the survey was of 3,000 about 3,000 households and 900 people. So it's quite a small data set. And most of the variables, so we have the interviewer key and the rest, the interviewer key is the ID that identify each record. And the other variables are attached to the other specifier that we're going to look at. And if I just view this file, we'll be able to see that you have the variable that indicates that this is an other specified category, and we have the actual documents or the actual words that are written by the respondent. Now, the first thing that I do in this process, once I have identified the data set, we then want to clean the files. So there's four steps that I performed in this data. Is after importing the data, I then remove special characters and other unwanted words that could distort the analysis. Then perform string tokenizer. In this presentation, I'm not concentrating on the terminology to explain what the natural process language is. If someone would like to know more about this, we can please pose a question and we will be able to provide more details later. I'm more concentrating on showing the pipeline, the pipeline and how I use R and the natural process language, NLP, to some of the techniques to carry out this analysis. So as I said, I will do I'll extract the special characters and any other unwanted characters, and also perform other techniques like to tokenize the data into single words that makes it easier for analysis. So here, we're just looking at exploring the data sets, and I'm going to go ahead and start with the processing, data cleaning processing. So I want to make sure that my data is also on lower cap, so that it's easier to analyze it. I don't want to have some are capital, some are not. And I want to remove any other letters that are not relevant for the analysis. And the third process, or second process that I will perform, basic, I will do tokenizing, where the words will be put into single words. So I have a column that we're analyzing. It's as the last column, other specifier, and we want to tokenize it so that we have each document. So the ID, this line 1 is our document, and so we want to make sure that each word is presented in a row, and we call them tokens. So we'll have a token per row this ID key. So we are expecting to have more rows after we perform that task, as compared to what we have now in our document. I'm just taking this and put it into a new data frame, so that I don't overwrite the previous data frame. And I will also go ahead, and if we look at the right, we'll see that I have more variables than more rows, because I have now made each token to be in a separate row. This is just to help with the analysis. I also just make sure that you sort of remove some of these words that are going to be there and they are not necessarily adding value to this particular analysis. Then we remove the stop words as well. Stop words, some of them are here, but stop words are those words like is, do, words that are used commonly, but they don't necessarily add value to the content of the meaning, or the meaning. And so once I remove that, I will then have less tokens, as we see on our screen. And I'm just visualizing it and show it on the screen. And this is basically, again, it's just asking to bring me the top 5 to look at. The one that has at least 5 appears 5 times on the document, our document, and I see that these are the words that appeared more commonly in our tokens. So, contract and retrenchment. One thing that I might have not mentioned is that this particular column that we are looking at, the question was from the survey. The question was, why did the person lost job? So this is a survey done during the COVID and assessing the impact of COVID at the household level. So this question asked the respondent who has lost job after COVID breakout. What was the reason why they lost their job? So you will see some similar words that are related to the context. Losing job. So you have retrenchment. Some can see also that already we have these cases of misspelling, and it also requires additional cleaning. Now, in this particular example, there are some processes that are not necessarily done, and I will discuss them at the end of the presentation. Okay, so then what I do next, I wanted to just visualize it, and this is also in the presentation. I just wanted to visualize the most common words that are appearing in this, and to just give me a bit more, to show me more on, to understand the distribution of these words. And I think I have that graph in our presentation, which shows us the, let me just bring it out. Excuse me. Okay, so these are just what counts. Again, tokens per row, how many times we pick up these words. So this is just, it gives you a quick view, or it gives me a quick idea of how many words are coming in, which words are necessary and might need to be cleaned out more to get to get a context and to understand the common words. The idea here is to, again, arrive at a point where you're able to recode and define new categories. So the next step was to just to get more understanding, was to use the gram and create grams, which are normally this gram is that single word that we've been using, but now sort of break it into, to break the word token into two parts, and just to also promote more understanding of that text field that we have. And here, that is what's happening. It's just creating a bigram. So it's just breaking this word into the text field tokens into two, so that I have just two per row. And so this is what's happening. And we see that, again, in most cases, these contracts applied and so on. Yeah, when you break them into, for instance, in this case, I break it into two. You can also break it into a sentence, or you stick to one single, but for me, it was easier to work with bigram, sort of give me more meaning to the analysis. And this is what I mean, the sentences. The example that I did here was to further create two columns for this word, so that you can, again, sort of going back to unpacking the token just to get more meaning in the grams. So that's what we did here. And then we created two columns. And those two columns gave me, again, an idea, an understanding of of the distribution of these tokens. So some, especially where you have, here I didn't filter out null yet, but of course you will need to remove the null. And some of the, we see that I can still do further cleaning to make it more meaningful and remove words that have less character. Like this doesn't, it's a problem because I broke down the actual word when I did the separation. So it requires a bit more cleaning. Let me just show the next step. So once that is done, and I have separated the grams, and I have this, and I can visualize it. You can use a graph. I think I have a graph somewhere. You can visualize it. You can use the beauty with R is that you can tidy the data, and like this is, and it's in the tidy format where you have the variable and you have the value. You are able to transpose it to and run your ggplot visualization. So like this, after removing the stop words, you are able to put this in a graph, and you have your variable and your value, and you can easily see, or I'm able to quickly see the most occurring words in this exercise. Okay, so that's, at this moment, I sort of have the file in some way that the words in most suitable format or clean that I can use for further cleaning. There were other steps that are done. I can also just, for instance, that once I have picked up this occurrence, I can now run further checks to see what is to bring out those particular records, for instance. And here, that's an example of it. Excuse me, where I'm just creating a small data frame, and I just wanted to see manually, I just wanted to see which are these variable records that have these word that came out so often. And you can also take it and I save it to, like what I did in this instance. I took these records that had more, these, for instance, all these, I took them and I extract the records that have these particular keywords, and I am able to provide this information to the subject matter. I mean, I could do other techniques here, for instance, topic modeling, which I would have loved to do. I didn't get to do it yet, but that's also another technique that can help you to quickly identify similarity and form topics that are relevant to the analysis. So when I ran that check, I could see that I have at least 20 records that have the word contract, and in most cases I can see that there's a relationship between contract and expired. So that also gives me more intelligence on creating the query, be more to be more intelligent on picking up the exact some of these checks. So At the moment, for instance, these 20, they all have contracts, but I can also run another one to match them into one with the words that are similar to contract, expired or terminated, and so on. So once I have filtered all this information out from my data frame, I am now able to do the actual cleaning. And if in this instance, when the statistician check, they advise that, okay, so this particular one, you don't have the relevant category, therefore let's create a new category in your data set, and then you match those new texts, or you find a relevant already category. In most cases, you find a category that fits that description. We see that this is contributed to the language, especially our enumerators. Our questionnaires are mostly in English, and you expect, or we expect the enumerator to transfer or to translate the question into the local language when they are interviewing. So this contribute to this kind of mismatch. So the respondent might give an answer which is already there, but because the enumerator had explained it in their own understanding, it then makes a difference. So here, this particular code, I mean, it could also be, sorry, it's not very sophisticated. I'm new at this. So I could write a function. This is another thing I would love to get into next step, to be more efficient, to read more on functional programming, so that I make my code more sophisticated, easy to read and a bit more efficient, because you can imagine you repeat a lot of steps during this data exploration, and you don't want to be writing the same code over. So this is a typical beginner's code, so don't mind me, please. So in this code, for instance, what I'm doing is I'm just again going to my data frame. Now, this is after exploring and finding what really needs to be done. So I go to my data frame, and I'm just creating a new one because I don't want to overwrite the existing file. So once I have identified what needs to be cleaned, so what I was advised is that you create a new code, for instance, in this instance, where it says contract ended, and there's some that had school, and it was of course the school had closed, so, and then we went back to school. So these were changed after proper checking of this instance. And in some instance, like retrenchment, this again can also be one line, I'm sure, but because I wrote it as one, but you can do in function, I think, and you're able to just sort of put them into one vector and call them here. But this is the easy for me now. Like I said, I'm getting to improving the code. So, but this gets your job done. So for instance, here, this is already, it's an existing category. And you see that I have an error here, but it's an existing category. It says, I'm just putting this into the same place. Oh, okay, it is there. Okay, okay. Then so that's the process we have, and then I just continue and do a bit more cleaning. Let me just run this. Hopefully it does run. Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and run this. Then he created a new data frame for me, and I'll also go ahead and run. This is just another cleaning that's being done, and this is also another cleaning. So these are just cleaning after picking up the and then, so if I just want to check the data set. So we finished basically very straightforward. I just want to check now the file to see if it has worked. So I created a frame and we can see that our records have already decreased because we did some cleaning and some are normal and others specify. I mean, in some instances, you would want to get this bit more low, but for the sake of this exercise, we just wanted to show the pipeline as it is at the moment. Okay, so if I click on it, one can okay, I'm going to show also the before. All right, so this variable, let me just run it again with the before. So I'm just gonna go ahead and sort of copy the same chunk, and I'm just gonna call it from the original file because I left it and I don't have this variable because I did not create it. So I'm going to remove it. So after impute, and then let me just call this before. So I'm going to run this and just gives me an error. Okay, that's true. That's the exist. Okay. So if I go to my file here and I go ahead and look for before impute. Okay. I could put it in one. Okay. So we can see here that other specify, it's still in category of other specify, and this is our records, which are 226. And after running the cleaning process, we see that the other specify for specific records that we cleaned have been imputed. And I mean, these are just 1, 2, 3 steps, and you have your categories cleaned. So we have contracts. All contracts, some are expired, some are ended. Some says lapsed, some are terminated. And he just went and picked this, and then it changed to contract ended as advised by the labor force statisticians. And then we also have this category, which has also been changed, going back to attend school. Had to stop because she's currently studying. So they had to go back to school. That's why they are not working. In the question they asked, in the past 7 days, did you work? No. And did you work before COVID? Yes. So if they didn't work in the past 7 days, then you give the reason why you didn't work, but you were working before mid COVID. So these are people that stopped working in the past short time. So some could have gone back to school, and they retrenched advice. So it became laid off while business continues, and so on. So this is how we did this. I did this exercise. Like I said, there's a room for improvement, and I'm excitedly looking forward to getting this pipeline more polished. we also just, I mean, you can also, I ran also some word cloud. You can play around with some fun word cloud and see most occurring words, for instance, and it's still similar info. This is also just fun for visualization. And but at the moment, this is how far I have gone with this work. So the next step, as I explained, it will be, I would like to explore on topic modeling, because I believe that if one uses topic modeling on this exercise, it will help to quickly form topics that I can easily identify and already provide this to the subject, to the statistician, to the labor force statisticians as already proposal, like, okay, these are the most occurring topics, and it will make already the pipeline faster, because the idea is to make to improve the process of the pipeline. It's quite the moment we actually do not analyze this. This is it's the first exercise. So that will be the next step to getting this. And also to use sentiment analysis in different within the text to pick up which are more negative, which are more positive comments. And of course, for instance, in this particular one that I was analyzing, which is the text, which is a reason why people lost job. It will be interesting to see how the sentiment is coming out of this question. And also, in the third thing that is really to just learn more, to get more familiar with tidy text package and ggplot. You could see that I don't have so much visualization, and visualization is quite important, especially when you're doing data analysis and data exploration. So I would like to really get more confident in using ggplot too. And with that, I think I have touched, I have covered most of the steps that I wanted to present to you today. Thank you. Afik, over to you.
Thank you so much, Tuli, for that wonderful presentation. Really interesting presentation. So I assume that this is from the survey is a closed, open-ended questions, is it? Because I can see that there's a rich variety. Yeah, there's a rich variety of answers that we can see. There's contract-ended, contract-expired. So just a question for me. I was just wondering, do you have to go through each and every one of the words to see whether there's any duplication, like contract expired and contract ended, which relatively means the same, but can you identify it through your coding so that it can automatically pop up in your analysis, something like that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed you can. And the process, why it's important to do the tokenization, it helps you to group the words into single tokens, words, and in that way you are able to analyze the data more easily. And indeed with this, you are able to pick up how often, as we've seen in the presentation, how often the word appears, and you can then do your further cleaning if you want to eliminate it or to bring them out from the records as they are. What I did is I identified them, and because my aim was to understand the context as well. It wasn't so much on the occurrence, which was as well, but it was more to also to pick up the similarities, the similarity between these words. But you are right, the accuracy is important, because then some of them had maybe say just two, like I saw one where the person says on maternity leave, there was only two. So then the project owner will then have to make a decision on the threshold. At what point do you want to define new categories, and at what point do you leave it into that category as other?
That's great explanation. Thank you so much, Tuli. So I'm just going to go through a question from our YouTube live participants. There's one question that we have here from Christopher Maronga from Kenya. So his question is, can I use this same approach for surveys done in local languages? For instance, a Swahili language, which is a popular surveying language in East Africa.
That would be quite interesting, isn't it? And those are places where you open for, NLP is there's a lot of opportunities for growth, especially in Africa not just in Africa, but when you are implementing local languages. So the trick here will be, of course, because if we don't have already defined packages with this information, then it's difficult, because most of these they just have the English language. But if you can develop, or there might be, maybe somebody can give us more information, there might be other languages, but I'm not too sure if it's so. It's straightforward to do in a local language, as in there's common languages that are used like English, without having to develop specific packages for this work. But I hope we can.
Yeah, true enough. I find that interesting as well, since like in Malaysia, we have not only Malay language, there's English language, Chinese, and also we have Indian. So it's a multiracial, multilingual country. So yeah, if we want to do a survey, we have to cater to all these languages as well. So it's an interesting topic that I think we'll need some more exploration as well. And Christopher also gave a comment here. He says that excellent presentation. I now know what to do with my other specified questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the questions from YouTube. So far, that's the only question that they have. So just for me, I would just interested to ask more about the sentiment analysis that you mentioned at the end of your presentation. I agree that with the current COVID situation, there's a lot of opportunity to learn about the sentiments on how the pandemic had impact people. So do you think that you will go to the social media to mine this kind of words, the hashtags in Twitter, the Facebook, to see whether there's any, as you say, any positive or negative impact that they portray there?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. You're giving me an exercise to do. Indeed, that's quite interesting. And I can tell you that, you remember at the beginning last year when COVID breakout, there was a lot of misinformation and disinformation around flowing, especially in the media and social media, and everybody was online. So there was a lot of this information that was circulating, and we did an informal check as well. The challenge that we had was to obtain tweets from Twitter. We started first with Twitter. That was a challenge, I could say, but I mean, you can work around it. And for instance, if the institution like a statistic office wants to have this pipeline more standardized, they could get an account, like a commercial account that allows Twitter allows you to to extract certain information for a certain number. But we also managed to get some of that, and it's quite interesting because the idea that if you get the tweets, for instance, from Twitter, you can mine it, and not only the sentiment analysis that you get out of it, but it will also help you to identify the most common topic discussed and information discussed, which can also assist, like for us in our instance, it's Ministry of Health. At this point, like they're doing the vaccine, it can also help them to understand what are the people talking about, what kind of questions are they asking, what kind of information do we need to channel then to the public based on the information discussed. So NLP offers quite a lot of insights, and in addition to sentiment, yes, sentiment can also help them can help organizations say, okay, what are the people talking about? What are the issues that needs to be addressed? So not only to understand the sentiment, but also to get more insight, to assist better and to provide the public with better information. Thank you.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Tuli. They said that it's not just a pandemic, it's also an infodemic.
Yes.
With all those kind of information, right? So
yes.
I totally agree that we need to go through that as well. So I do believe that this your presentation just now would have a great meaning in terms of exploring this the infodemic that we're having as well. So Heather, do you have any questions for our presenter as well today?
Yeah, I was wondering, Tuli, if you could tell us a bit more about this survey. Presumably, it's a national survey. Is it focused on labour and employment, or is that just happens to be the example you showed us today?
It's actually it's a household it's a household level survey, national survey. So we took labor force sample from 2018 and conducted a telephonic interviews at the household level. It has about 3,630 households, and individuals are about 100, I think, and 7 for labor force. But the short answer is yes, it's a national survey, and we haven't released it actually. I'm doing the same thing at the same time. It's a real time analyzing actually. So we're hoping to release the results by mid June. Yes. We just finished with the field work a couple of weeks ago, and we're busy now with data cleaning. So it was a national household survey done telephonically to assess the impact of COVID-19 on modules. We had a module on vaccine, how just to assess the people's perception around the vaccine, the willingness to be vaccinated, and why they wouldn't want to be vaccinated. There's also questions on labor force, questions on education, how the children are impacted, and also the behavior of the household. We interviewed the head of the household. So the behavior around now that we know, we acknowledge well, how are they behaving, washing hands, and wearing masks, avoiding large crowds. And then we also had the question on food security and food security and shock, how they're coping with that. And yes, it's actually a World Bank template that we are using.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is designed specially to explore the impacts of the pandemic, or is this a sort of tweak of an annual survey?
No, it was specifically for COVID.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you have in the design, do you have a lot of questions like this then, where generally people are picking a category and then there's another specified category?
Yes. So in this particular one, there's about 5 other specified, but I only showed you from labor force because that the one that had more, and its labor force is also quite crucial. I wanted to understand more and to unpack those others. But in general, the whole questionnaire has about 5 other specified. In general, I think we try to run away from other specified, maybe because of the reasons what I mentioned earlier, just the process, how it's time consuming. Can you imagine? I know that I've been at the office for 5 years, and we have not done more than we have not done the I don't remember in any survey where this question has been really unpacked, which is it's mostly checked after, but you want to look at it immediately so that you can have really good information for your report, and it also assists you to improve on the categories that you have defined.
Yeah. So hopefully, now you've made a start on this survey. It's something that could be used in future, maybe. So
yes, Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So you're obviously thinking very much about the impact of COVID on Namibia. What's it been like for you and your sort of working life?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
What's the impact sort of been for you in your working life? Have you been able to sort of carry on working through the pandemic? Is it how's it affecting the sort of work that you do in the statistical office? Is it difficult,
Yes.
trying to analyze a big study like this? Are you working from home?
Yes, indeed. COVID has affected, I think, everyone so dramatically. And yes, indeed, it became a challenge in a statistical production because we rely heavily on traditional data collection methods, and unfortunately, COVID just not allowing us for that. So we with this particular one, we tried with the telephonic, and we used a tool called Survey Solution. That is it's a World Bank data collection application that we used, and then there was R codes script that were written to pull the data directly from the server, and we bring it in into the local environment and continue to do further process. So there was various other processes that are done that I didn't show here, for instance. So it was in that instance, I would say it was sort of a blessing in disguise, not necessary, but it forced us to really look at alternative and forced us to learn to use other tools. And in the office, although we are still warming up to it, I'm hoping that this example, for instance, will give the rest of my colleagues, especially the statistician, to give them an appetite for integrating this not new tool, but to getting more into using tools like R that allow us to I think further and faster manipulation of data. Like I give you an example, in this particular survey, we were able to pull the data with just writing our scripts, and we didn't touch anything manually, just ran the code and the data is on the computer, and we did further. So in a way, it affected us in a good way, and also working from home can be challenging. Like I had to give a basic training to one of the group of economic statisticians who wanted to use a specific package, and they are learning as well. So we're all learning, but they wanted to do a specific task. Of course, we know that one has to learn the concept. You need to do a bit of theory to understand how the language operates before. And it was a challenge with this particular one because we were online. And it took, I think, we did this session for just the introduction without even getting to the actual packages that they wanted to, because we were online, and we agreed that next time we will do it face to face. So there are some disadvantages and some advantages that are introduced to COVID in working from home.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear about how how this is an opportunity to start using R a bit more within your organization, and a sort of test case for that. Well, thanks very much for an interesting talk and for telling us about your situation in Namibia. We're sort of coming close to the end of our time. I wonder if I could just pass over to Janani, maybe to say a little bit about the talk that's coming up later. And anything else you want to say?
No, this was just a wonderful talk, and it's great to hear what's happening. I mean, such a pertinent work to what is happening around the world now too. So thank you so much, Tuli. Next up, our following talk would be in 6 hours. So I know people are joining us from different time zones. So I just want to say in +6 hours, our next talk from Beatriz Valdez from Venezuela will be happening. And we are, please do join us on YR. Thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you all then. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much to Tuli for a wonderful presentation. Thank you, Heather, for the questions, and also Janani for the introduction